Greetings. Thank you for joining the City of South Fulton once again for our second episode of South Fulton 101. Today, we will be focusing on city services and really what does the City of South Fulton do? To kind of recap, the City of South Fulton is introducing the South Fulton 101 webinar series to ensure that we're connecting with all of the residents, businesses, and other key stakeholders of the City of South Fulton. I am honored to not only, host and partner on this webinar series, but also to serve as the city manager of the City of South Fulton. This is an excellent opportunity for us to further connect with our residents, leveraging technology and ensure that the appropriate information is getting to our residents in real time. The ultimate goal of this webinar series is really just to educate our residents and ensure that everyone understands the array of services that are available to them. I think with serving under our honorable mayor and council, we want to really double down on the commitment to enhance communication, ensure that outreach is effective and immediate and accessible at all times, and really connect the service delivery directly to the residents and businesses of the City of South Fulton. And so, with that, I think it was appropriate to start with what is the City of South Fulton? Who are we? Where are we? And what do we do? As you can see on the map, the City of South Fulton is not only the largest of the South Fulton cities, we touch every single one of our adjoining cities and really influence the direction of the region. And so I think with that said, it is important to highlight our governance structure and those dynamic 8 leaders who actually lead our regional governance, our oversight, our policy development, and our legislative activities. We are a council manager form of government, and we are led by the Honorable Mayor William Bill Edwards, who is our at-large elected official. We also have the District 1 council member, the Honorable Dr. Catherine Rowell. In District 2, we are led by the Honorable Carmelitha Gums. In District 3, the Honorable Helen Zenobia Willis. In District 4, the Honorable Naima Gilliard. In District 5, the Honorable Rosie Jackson. In District 6, the Honorable Councilmember Khalid. In District 7, our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Mark Baker. These 8 dynamic individuals were elected into office in 2017 and have led the city, which was chartered on May 1st, to ensure that our 100,000 residents covering 90 square miles and over 1,800 businesses have all of the correct services, access, and resources that are necessary for the city to move at the pace expected by our residents. To do so, we have put together a dynamic team of employees of now reaching over 500. We've transitioned all city services, so all 7 districts have access to parks and recreation, where we have over 17 parks and almost 700 acres of park space, 10 fire stations in our array, and 3 precincts where we have a 4th mini precinct coming on board soon. And so the services available through the City of South Fulton are not only vast and diverse, but we believe world class. To ensure that our residents, through transition and beyond, have access to not only the normal services that you would expect to see within a city, but that they also receive some innovative service delivery in support of our growth and implementation. We've introduced quite a few different initiatives that support our residents, our outreach, and ensuring that we have a measured operations model to ensure that we abide by the council's desire to reach our residents and give them access. We've got 3 primary activities that we believe people are happy with and have helped to expand our services. I think number 1 is Destination South Fulton. We have taken our economic development arm and kind of branded it so that the world, our region, and everyone who is looking to do business, live, work, and play in the city knows exactly how to reach us. And so, as a result of that, we have launched Destination South Fulton, where our businesses know we're the one stop shop for all things related to not only business and service delivery, but also when it comes to quality of life activities. Destination South Fulton is your partner in growing and relocating your business. Secondly, and maybe most importantly, we've launched the Mayor's Walk. And this interesting initiative, which I believe is innovative, is one that really makes our service delivery very simple. Instead of people coming to the city and looking to find out what our services are or to report incidents, or in some instances give praise, we actually take our city services to them. Our mayor, on a monthly basis, along with all of the department heads and the district council members, along with HOAs and other community stakeholders, go into the commercial districts all around the city. We introduce our services, we identify issues in real time, and we walk the corridor to ensure that anything that is out of place or not in alignment with our services is corrected in real time. In this effort, the mayor's office, in partnership with the city manager's office, releases a report within 7 to 10 business days. And this report highlights all of the issues that were found and identified on the wall. And then 30 days later, we release our full report that identifies how we rectified these issues. To date, we have identified 194 total issues, and 97% of those have been solved or resolved within 30 days. And so we think that that process is one that is not only innovative, but it really assists with us connecting and hearing from our residents, but also showing the transparency of how we solve issues. And speaking of issue resolution and ensuring that we reach our residents, I think our third major initiative is one that has really seen quite a bit of results and had quite a bit of impact in our city. We have launched the Customer Response Center for the city of South Fulton. I apologize. We actually is not the Customer Response Center. It is the Citizen Response Center. And that differentiation is very important. The reason for that is because we have a citizen focused government. And so this Citizen Response Center oversees all non emergency calls for the city and has an adjoining app called See Click Fix. And it allows our residents to call in issues, provide us with insight into opportunities and where we can serve better, or simply call the number and find out how they can access city services. This 24-hour customer response center launched in January. It had about 130 calls within the first month. And in the second month, we had over 900 calls. Of those 900 calls, when people got off the phone within a 3 minute period, their issues were either resolved, entered and tracked, or set on a course for resolution. And so we believe that is a major start for the city of South Fulton and a great service delivery access point for all of our residents. And so these three initiatives have really helped to take our outreach to the next level and ensure that our citizens understand the services that are available to them and can access a key member of our team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so we're excited about that. I think that those initiatives, as well as our overall service delivery model, can be captured by calling it the continuous quality improvement or CQI approach. We are focused on ensuring that not only did we transition all of the services from the county appropriately and effectively, but more importantly, after transition, we continuously focus on quality improvement to ensure that our residents are getting the best service possible for their investment in tax dollars and other resources. And so when we look at this CQI approach, I think there are three pillars that we always focus on. I think the first is through transition, we wanted to make sure we established a service delivery model. we continue to start with the same question that you will hear every single time. What is currently not working? We want to start there, figure out a solution, and then grow. And so, as we start with the question, what is not working, we move secondly to create a reliable process that ensures continuous quality improvement. So, if a customer is not receiving quality services at the front desk, we find out why, we create a process, and then we measure it to ensure that their experience improves over time. And so once we create this process, I think the next piece is implementing a solution. And so in doing so, we look at the process that we've created, we implement it, and then we measure if this solution is being successful. So that is the CQI approach, and it is really the basis for doing business in the city of South Fulton. As we looked at the key issues around service delivery and how the city of South Fulton will provide our array of services to our citizenry, we have started with how do you actually establish city services and what things prohibit or hinder the delivery of services. When we've looked at this through transition, I think our biggest issue was in ramping up staff. I think next, focusing on establishing a vision, and then thirdly, ensuring that we're delivering high quality services. And so I'm excited about the progress that we've made during the first 2 years of the city. And in my first year as city manager, we have gone. I remember I tell a story that on my first day, I think we had 66 employees. And by the time I had reached the end of my second month, we were at 220. Man, that's a lot of growth. And so, in doing so, while there were some growing pains, I think ramping up staff and getting a quality list of professionals has been a very big deal for the city and has had great results. I'd say also, establishing this vision for the city has been very important. And as always, I like to continue to give kudos to our dynamic leaders in the city council and our mayor. I think I remember on my second day, Councilmember Naima Gilliard harped on the importance of having a strategic plan that will continue to guide the city long after any of us are here. And I think she was spot on. As such, the city has launched our first strategic plan where we have had over 15 public engagement meetings. We have a survey that is actually still open to the public for another 15 days following the release of or this activity. And so our strategic plan will be coming back before the council where they will codify it and forever set the vision for the city, at least until our next strategic planning activity. I think the third piece is delivering high quality service. I am proud and really honored to serve our residents who have, through the Special Services District, really funded service delivery in our city for quite some time. And now that they have control over what type of services they want, they have been clear in ensuring that they want the highest quality service at a reasonable price in a reasonable time. And so that challenge is one that I believe we're meeting. The 24/7 call center and citizen response center is one example, but even our partnership with Jacobs on transportation, our excellent police chief who has reduced response times, as well as, the fire department that is leading the region in response times. I mean, these types of examples again and again highlight the commitment of not only our council, but our staff in stepping up to the plate to serve our citizens. And so when we look at the overall solution to all of any service delivery challenge and the growth of the city of South Fulton, the key is ensuring that our elected and administrative body really hears from our citizens through public engagement and any other avenue and develop a solution for service delivery. That is actually the basis for South Fulton 101, and it is our commitment to our citizens to not only hear them, but act on their desires. The key piece of understanding what the city of South Fulton is and what we do is really looking at the various areas that we touch, as well as understanding what services we do not provide. I think it is important to note that the city of South Fulton and many cities across not only South Fulton County, but also across the state of Georgia really touch on very similar services. They range from transportation, permitting, public safety, code enforcement, sanitation, emergency medical services, animal control, business licensing, zoning, and even the performing arts. The city of South Fulton is a little different than most. While we provide many more services than some other cities, there are quite a few things that are done at the county level that the city does not actually provide. And I think people would be surprised to know that. Emergency management services in the state of Georgia are actually required by law to be contracted out to a third party. And so the city of South Fulton does not actually have a license. So while our first responders are our fire department, we actually do not provide the emergency management services. We have been blessed to have Grady actually provide those services on our behalf, and we've seen our response times actually slashed in half. So we are excited about that partnership. We also partner with the city of Atlanta for our water services. And so, us, along with most other South Fulton cities, partner with the city of Atlanta, who provides those services and ensure that we have clean drinking water and a quality water service delivered to our residents. We also do not provide utility services. While I believe East Point is the lone South Fulton city to provide those services, the city of South Fulton is looking into that process and figuring out if there would be a value add to our citizens. Another area that many people often equate with a service that is available at the city level when it's really provided in most instances at the county level is senior services. While it has become very clear that our council is engaged and very interested in ensuring that our seniors have the best services available and serving as a primary advocate for our citizenry with the council, I'm sorry, with the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, the city does not actually provide senior services. Those are done at the county level. That would also be the same for health and human services as well as housing services. And again, I think the city is very committed to ensure that affordable housing is something that doesn't get lost as we grow. It is a service that is provided directly by the county. Another area that we do not provide services in is emergency management services. And although we don't provide them, we do partner with the county, who I believe has done yeoman's work in delivering those services. Youth services are also another service that is provided at the county level, along with E911, workforce development, and actually in the South Fulton County area and the city of South Fulton, animal control is also coordinated as a partnership with the county, although the city of South Fulton is very much looking into our animal control model as a value add to our citizens. In coordinating any type of service delivery, especially that at the municipal level, you have to have great partners. And I am excited to really talk about a few of the partnerships that we have in the city of South Fulton to make sure our citizens get the best services available. We have partnered with Airtropolis Atlanta, specifically the CID, as well as the Alliance on Transportation and Economic Development Activities in support of both our transportation department and Destination South Fulton. Another great partner in economic development has been Georgia Power, helping us not only attract businesses, but also retain those that we have. It goes without saying that Miller Zell has been a staple along Fulton Industrial Boulevard and a key advocate for the city of South Fulton. New partners include Coca-Cola Bottling, who has helped with the planning and potential launch of the innovation center that we will be launching, which is a small business resource and incubation center where they have committed to provide to serve on the advisory council and help us grow our small businesses in the hopefully Fortune 100 companies. The city of Atlanta providing a variety of services, including water, and we also provide fire services to the city of Atlanta. And so that partnership has been very beneficial, where we've actually been able to assist their residents in fire services on behalf of their many residents in that adjoin District 1. The South Fulton Chamber, another great partner in economic development, but also in professional development. We are excited that Leadership South Fulton is returning to the chamber, and we hope to have not only some of our citizens, but also some of our key administrative leadership participate in this effort from the Chamber of Commerce. And finally, one of our most important partners is Fulton County Schools. I believe that the school system has been a key partner in not only us implementing some of our strategic activities, but also when it comes to ensuring that education, which is a key proponent of the growth of a city, is really top notch in South Fulton, and Westlake High School, among many others, are really doing an excellent job in ensuring that our citizens have access to quality education and programming. And so, with that, I am excited to have one of my strategic partners here with us today to talk about city operations. Um, Today, the Assistant City Manager, Miss Melanie D. Winfield, who comes and joins our team from a variety of different cities, including Memphis, Tennessee, and the District of Columbia, where she has served as an assistant city attorney, a deputy director, and a COO. Now serves as the city assistant city manager and chief operating officer for the city of South Fulton, and she will give you some insights into not only our organizational structure, but what services we provide by department and how our operations are second to none in delivering services here in the city.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Donald, for that introduction and for the opportunity to speak about the city's operations. I am excited to be a part of a great group of people who are dedicated to providing and serving the residents of the city of South Fulton. As the assistant city manager, like Mr. Donald said, I serve as the chief operating officer and lead the city's operational efforts to make sure that the services we provide are not only effective but also efficient and serve the residents of the city in an expedient manner. So first, I will give an overview of the city's organizational structure. Of course, at the top of the food chain, we have our citizens of the city of South Fulton who help provide the guidance for what we do on a daily basis. And then we have our mayor and city council members who set the policy and further guide our operational efforts, and as well as how we go about doing our business. Our mayor and city council also appoint some key positions within the city of South Fulton's administration, highlighted by our city judge, who presides over and hears our court proceedings. We also have the city attorney, who oversees and provides provides for the legal affairs for the city, as well as legal advice and protect the city's interests as relates to those legal issues. The mayor and city council also appoints the city manager, who actually at this time is Mr. Donald, who's doing a yeoman's job of fulfilling and carrying out the administrative tasks to make sure that we are serving the needs of the city, of the residents of the city of South Fulton. The mayor and council also appoints a city clerk, who serves as the official record keeper for all city administrative business, oversees the council meetings and other public meetings, and makes sure that the necessary documentation is retained pursuant to state law. Though not depicted on this pictorial here, the mayor and council also appoints our city treasurer, who oversees and makes sure and looks into the budgeting and investing services for the city of South Fulton to make sure that we are fiscally sound. And let me also note that the treasurer also serves as the chief fiscal officer for the city of South Fulton, though he is appointed by the mayor and city council. And under the mayor of city manager's office, you have the assistant city manager, who I am serving in that capacity. You also have a special carve out specifically devoted to our programs and performances. That area is led by Ms. Joy Marshall, our program and performance administrator. And again, the focus of that area is to make sure that our programs and the services that we provide are not only meeting the needs of the residents, but exceeding their expectations. And within that office, you have our GIS to oversee the mapping and making sure that all of our resources are reflected in a manner and maintained in a manner where we can adequately and efficiently be able to identify what our resources are. We also have our records department, which works with closely with our city clerk to make sure that we are maintaining records, but also addressing those open records requests that comes in from residents and other constituents seeking to gain information and documentation related to the city's affairs and businesses. And also just overlooking and monitoring our overall customer experience and engaging with the customers to make sure that, again, we're meeting their needs but exceeding their expectations when we're delivering those services, and just assessing and making sure that we are establishing attainable goals and meeting those goals in a reasonable manner. I like to think of the city manager's office as being broken up into those internal services versus those more external customer facing services. So within the internal services, that area is overseen by our chief financial officer, who again also serves as the treasurer and reports directly to mayor and council. But within that area's purview, you have our financial operations, our human resources department, as well as our IT department. And also, that team oversees our contracts and procurements team, as well as our risk management function. And within the Assistant City Manager's office, you have Destination South Fulton, Fire, Police Services, our Communications and External Affairs, Public Works, Community and Regulatory Affairs, as well as Parks and Recreation. And also, recently added to the City Manager's office is a chaplaincy program, which we're very excited about. I think that's going to be something world class, as well as very innovative, and set a model, a national model for how a chaplaincy program should look. And also not reflected on this slide is the municipal court, which also, again, one of those externally customer facing functions. So to lead our chief fiscal office as well as our treasury team is Mr. Frank Malazzi. Within Mr. Malazzi's purview, again, is to oversee and make sure that the financial health of the city is sound and that we are operating and have those internal controls to govern our operations. Also, he oversees our accounting and budgeting functions, as well as our tax and revenue collection to make sure that we are recouping the necessary revenue that is due to the city and being accountable to the residents of the city of South Fulton. So some of the key highlights that we were able to accomplish thus far during our short tenure as a city under our Financial and Administrative Services Department, we delivered our city's balanced budget within the statutory guidelines. And we're looking forward to doing that for FY20 as well, as we're beginning to start that process. And we also were able to increase city revenues by 68%. And as a new city, we're continually exploring new and innovative ways to expand our resources, and we're continuing to explore those and look forward to increasing that for FY20 and futures and years to come. Again, within the Finance and Administrative Services division is the Human Resources Department, which is led by Ms. Anquilla Henderson. And that function, the Human Resources Office oversees our employee recruitment and onboarding to make sure that we have the necessary staffing to provide the services due and needed by the residents of the city of South Fulton. Also, this department ensures that we comply with all employment laws and making sure that we are paying employees properly, that we provide safe environments for them to do their work, and that we just have overall wellness, take their overall wellness into consideration in what we do. Also, they review compensation to make sure that we are paying appropriately to be able to not only attract local talent, but even national talent. So we want to be able to compete on a national scale to make sure that we have the right people at the table to provide the services that are needed and deserved by the residents of the city of South Fulton. Some of the accomplishments that were achieved under the HR department during our short tenure, we were able to increase the total number of employees by 2,460%. You heard Mr. Donald talk about when he first started how we were only had about 60 or so employees, but within a short time span that grew to over 200 or so. So again, we look forward to continually growing as a city because we know that we cannot do the job without having a good quality team that's working hand in hand with us to make sure that we are providing those services to the residents. This group also developed the South Fulton Fellows Internship Program, which provides the opportunity for individuals who are, whether they be in school or just seeking an opportunity to learn, to be able to come in and work alongside staff and be able to provide their services back to the community, but also to be able to develop themselves personally while they're contributing and being good stewards to the residents. We're also partnering with the GMA leadership, with GMA to develop a supervisory and management leadership training program for our leaders. We want to make sure, again, that we have quality and competent people working alongside our team, but we also want to provide them the opportunity to grow within their ranks and within their profession. The Human Resources Department also developed the city's first policy, HR policies and procedures manual to again document how we go about doing our business and making sure that we're being transparent in how we do that. Within the Finance and Administrative Services Division is also our Information Technology Group, which is led by Mr. Neymar Strickland. Our Information Technology Group makes sure that the internal team has the necessary resources and technology so that we can better do our job on a daily basis, making sure that we have necessary protocols and safeguards in place to provide cyber security so that the records are safe and that individuals can interact with our systems with some level of confidence that their data and information is protected. Also making sure that we have the necessary network and databases to be able to effectively do the work. And also hardware and software, again, making sure that we have the necessary technology because we know that technology is really advancing the way that we do the work, and it makes for our job to be not only easier, but helps us to be able to do it in a quicker manner. And so we want to be able to engage and incorporate those technologies that help us to interact and engage with our residents in a better and more effective manner. And within the assistant city manager's office, and again, those external and customer facing functions, we have our public works department, which is led by Mr. Antonio Valenzuela. Actually, the public works team was the last of the departments to transition from Fulton County. So we're excited to have that team transition over with us. The public works team oversees our sanitation services, which was the model was recently adopted by our city council that requires all households within the city of South Fulton to contract with a vendor, one of our registered vendors for sanitation services. And so we are excited to say that that program has proven to be, that model has proven to be successful since we launched it or began to enforce it in February. And we must say that approximately 60% of the households have signed up and obtained sanitation services. So we are looking forward to that model to continually expand and continually grow and continue to be a success for the residents as well as the city as a whole. Under Public Works also oversees our transportation and traffic signals and other safety measures related to transportation. This group also oversees the T-SPLOS program and makes sure that we have the necessary funding to provide for capital and construction projects to be able to control and direct the flow of traffic throughout the city of South Fulton. We also have the general services that falls within this team as well. And our general services team pretty much oversees our facilities and our vehicle and fleet to make sure that those things are remaining operational and in compliance with law and also just up to par as we go about doing our business. Public Works, some of the key highlights, again, Noting that this group transitioned November 2018, we are definitely excited to highlight some of the accomplishments that we were able to achieve during this short time frame. One of which, we began a illegal dumping surveillance program where we installed cameras in strategic locations throughout the city to be able to identify those dumping hotspots, but then not only to identify the spots, but also to be able to identify some of those perpetrators who are illegally dumping. And so we're continually monitoring that program and monitoring those locations to make sure that we have the cameras positioned in the right locations. And we're looking forward to expanding that program very soon and even on into FY20. Under this new model that we adopted, like Mr. Donald said, we contracted with Jacobs to provide a lot of the public works services. And so by contracting with that third party, we were able to reduce our right-of-way maintenance cycle from 6 weeks to 4 weeks. So the residents were able to see where their right-of-ways are being maintained on a more frequent basis than what it was prior to the city taking over those functions. Also increase the city's visibility by installing welcoming signs in key corridors. Again, with our borders abutting so many surrounding municipalities, it's very key that residents and visitors know when they're entering into the city of South Fulton. So those signs are very key in doing so. And with the new model that we adopted by contracting with the third party vendor, we were able to reduce the cost to the city by 1.2 million by engaging that third party labor to provide a lot of those public works services. And then we have our police department, which is led by our chief, Keith Meadows. Our police department is primarily responsible for, as with other police, making ensuring the safety of our public, not only our residents, but also our visitors, as well as our businesses, to make sure that their property as well as their persons are maintained and kept safe. Also looking at reducing crime throughout the city of South Fulton, incorporating necessary technology, making sure that we have the necessary manpower on the streets, and just in being thoughtful in how we go about investigating crimes. And also engaging in community policing. Our chief is really big on engaging communities, association, and community-based organizations to make sure that not only are we providing those public safety services, but in educating them as well on how they can better protect themselves as well as their property under his leadership. Some of the key highlights for our police department during our short tenure has been we were able to increase our public safety presence via 2 mini precincts. However, Mr. Donna indicated we are also in the process of launching our third mini precinct. So stay tuned for that information because we are very excited as we're nearing closure of that deal. We were also able to increase our number of sworn personnel by 40%, and that number is continuing to increase as we are expecting another class to begin this week so that we have additional personnel, sworn personnel within the police department, which means that we have more officers on the streets to be able to provide those patrol services. We were also able to reduce the overall crime by 4% for those Part 1 offenses, as well as arrest by 5% and all arrests by 4%. So we are really seeing the fruits of our labor from our police, from our great servicemen within the police department, men and women, within the police department. We also facilitated the redesign of our beats and patrol zones. We're partnering with Georgia Tech to make sure that we have our zones appropriately and strategically created so that we are better able to respond to citizens' requests and be able to create those zones in such a manner based upon the location of our precincts, based upon the crime data that we have, and just being strategic in how we go about designing those zones. And we're also excited to say that the zones have not been done since sometime in the 90s. So we are very excited to be able to do that, as we know that the city covers a lot of land mass. So we want to make sure that we have those zones and those beats drawn appropriately. We also have our fire department, which is led by our interim chief, Jack Butler. and was led by Chief Few for a number of years. And so, under the fire department, of course, we're looking at public safety to make sure that we protect the property as well as the lives of our residents as relates to fire incidents and those related to fire. Also, providing emergency response services through partnership with Grady, like Mr. Donald said, we have seen a significant decrease in our response time, and we're continually seeing that number come down as our team is doing a great job of getting out to the scenes in a timely manner. And also community education, partnering again with community organizations and schools to provide information and resources as relates to fire prevention and how what individuals can do to curtail um, and prevent fires within their homes or their properties. And part of that, we also were able to reduce our response times to 6 minutes to probably under 6 minutes and 29 seconds. I know that's what this slide says, but as we're continually monitoring that, we are seeing where we are even greater reducing our response time. We were able to increase our fleet by 3 vehicles at no additional cost. So we were able to leverage our resources to lease our vehicles. So we were able to expand the budget initially provided for 1 vehicle, but we were able to be strategic and thoughtful in how we use the public's money, and we were able to get 3 vehicles for what it would have cost us to get that 1. So we are very excited about that. We also advocated for the new EMS provider, who is Grady, which caused a reduction in our response times by 50%. And we also expanded our smoke detector installation program. Well, with this program, we go into residences, not only install smoke detectors, but educate residents on how to appropriately and properly use those smoke detectors within their homes. We also have our Community Development and Regulatory Affairs Office, which is led by Ms. Shayla Reed. This team is pretty much concerned with how we go about using our city's land and making sure that we improve and enhance the quality of life for residents, and how do we protect our land. This team oversees our building inspections so that when construction is coming to the area, that we can make sure that construction is being done pursuant to the guidance and code and regulations that govern those actions. Also overseeing our planning and zoning to make sure that we are being thoughtful in how we go about zoning and creating those uses for our lands within the city of South Fulton. And then overseeing code enforcement. That team goes out and makes sure that residents and businesses are complying with the various municipal codes as it relates to signs on their buildings, the height of their grass, vehicles parked in the yards, and those type of things. That goes to making sure that the community is not only safe, but beautified as well. So we are definitely excited about our Community and Development Regulatory Affairs Office. Some of the highlights of the community development team, we were able to obtain a local government qualified local government status. This allows us to be able to compete for state and federal grant programs. And so we're excited to have that designation to allow us to be able to compete and diversify our funding source. We were also able to create our permitting revenue by negotiating and entering into a better deal with our building permit inspector vendor. So we're excited to be able to report cost savings to the residents. We hosted a monitoring visit with GCIC, and were able to obtain 100% compliance as it relates to our alcohol auditing processes. And Destination South Fulton, which serves as the economic development arm for the city of South Fulton, is led by our administrator, Mr. Christopher Pike. So our economic development team is focused on making sure that we are attracting quality development to the city of South Fulton in the form of mixed use and other developments that go to enhancing the quality of life for the residents, but making sure that we're being strategic in terms of what developments we bring into the city, because we want to bring those that provide for quality employment, those that are energy efficient and those type of things. So we're being thoughtful in that. And then with the business licensing, we want to create a one-stop shop where a business come in and all of their needs can be addressed within this one office. And so that function has transitioned from community development to Destination South Fulton, again, to be more responsive to our businesses, and not only our existing businesses, but also to recruit newer business to the area to again diversify and enhance the economic posture of the city. And also, this team oversees our permits, trying to reduce and make sure that we're being more responsive to individuals who submit applications for development and other applications, for special event, whatever other applications you may submit. We want to make sure that we're being responsive to those needs. Under Destination South Fulton, we have established our South Fulton Development Authority, which will be another tool that we have in our box to be able to enhance our development efforts. We branded Destination South Fulton again as the economic development engine for the city of South Fulton, who is responsible for recruiting and retaining businesses to the area, again, to enhance our workforce and be able to bring quality jobs to the area. Hosted a job fair where we had approximately 27 businesses to participate and over 200 job seekers that came out. And this activity was reported as an overwhelming success, and others have asked us to host it again, and we are excited to do so as we begin to explore that option. We increased our business licenses by 75% from around 1,300 to over 2,300 during our short tenure as a city. Our Parks and Recreation Department is led by Director Tony Phillips. And so under this ecosystem, a goal is to create spaces that provide opportunities for healthy environments, whether it be outdoor park space or recreational programming within our facilities. Also, it hosts cultural and arts programs, as well as a variety of other activities and programs that allows for individuals to become active, thereby increasing their health, such as Zumba, aerobics, and swimming, line dancing, and other activities, as well as those for youth. We have summer camp as well as after school programming to provide academic tutoring and STEM programming. So we're excited about the Parks and Rec department and what it allows for the community to be able to engage. Some of the key accomplishments for our Parks and Recs department: we established key financial partnerships and revenue with the Atlanta Hawks to be able to increase funding revenue to be able to enhance some of the facilities that we have. And also, we increased our revenues through implementation of Civic Rec, which is the portal by which individuals engage with our Parks and Recreation Department, whether it be registering for some of the activities or just to go in and pay fees. But Civic Recs has proven a good system for us to be able to track our revenue as well as engage with our constituents. We have our Communications and External Affairs Department, which is led by our Director, Jolene Butts Freeman. The goal of this department is to enhance our community engagement and making sure that we're keeping our residents in the know and informed about activities in and around the city of South Fulton. They were instrumental in redeveloping and designing our city's website, and which is a continued work in progress. But I invite you all to take a look at the website, see how engaging it is and how user-friendly that site is. Also, responsible for branding our city's efforts and logo, and just making sure that residents know that the city of South Fulton is the place to be, and we are excited to be here and have great things going on. Under the Communication and External Affairs, we launched a citywide newsletter. If you have not been receiving those, please sign up for that, because again, that is one way that we stay engaged with the residents and keep you informed on the extraordinary work that we are doing and some of the great works that is to come. We increased our social media subscribers on all platforms, coordinated a public education campaign on multiple ballot referendums, and we are excited to say that all 4 of the items that were on their referendum ballot, were passed, in part due to our efforts of educating the community on what those ballots meant for them. We also launched the official city website and also an annexation website, again, to provide information and make sure that the residents know what is happening. And lastly, we have our municipal courts, which is led by our court administrator, Ms. Phoenix Gaston. Our municipal courts pretty much handles our misdemeanor violations, traffic violations, and municipal code violations. The court administrator and her team pretty much sets the court calendars and makes sure that the operations of the courts flow smoothly and efficiently for the residents to be able to engage with the court system in a systematic way. The municipal courts team implemented a South Fulton Green team, a diversion program, as well as a restorative justice model. Each of these models provides for an opportunity for residents to pay their debts to society, but then be rehabilitated and become reacclimated back into society and reduce the recidivism rate for their efforts and by repaying their debt to society. So, good government is the outcome of private virtue. We ask that you continue to engage with us because we know that no government is successful without the engagement of its private, not only private entities, but also our business entities. So, again, we implore you to continue to engage so that we can continue to not only be a good government, but become a great government.
So I'll tell you, Ms. Winfield, thank you for giving us that informative breakdown and really providing key insights on how our operations model delivers services on behalf of our 100,000 residents. I see that there are quite a few questions in the queue, which is really exciting. So we will answer a few of those now. And so I'll read those and provide some preliminary answers. And of course, today, I think in the interest of time, we'll answer somewhere between 3 and 5 of these questions. And as we normally do, we will issue FAQs that will be attached to the actual webinar when we post it to the website, which will happen over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. And so the first question is, you listed ramping up staff as one of the first problems to establishing city services. Will there be more career fairs and hiring opportunities for residents who want to be a part of the city's team or other businesses in the city? So that is an excellent question. We held recently a job fair with our partners on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and our HR department was one of 27 businesses that came out to hire residents. And so it was very effective. We have heard from businesses as well as our HR department that many candidates really fit the bill for what we were looking for. And some of our recent hires actually came to us through, well, not only recent hires, but recent hires and those that we have interviewed actually came from that job fair. So the short answer is absolutely. We do plan to have additional job fairs and public engagement opportunities to connect with us directly, not only for personnel opportunities, but also through Destination South Fulton, ensuring that those who want to do business with the city also have an opportunity. So the second question has to do with public safety. We still have a high crime rate. We're still having accidents on different roads. Those are public safety issues. Can you talk about how soon these things will not just be addressed, but fixed? So I think that's a great question. You want to chime in on that, Ms. Winfield?
I will. Thank you. So our public safety team, public works team, is continuously and being and intentional about how we go about addressing public safety issues throughout the city. So we have been working closely with our partners at GDOT to make sure that we are assessing our different corridors throughout the city and being able to bring in the necessary traffic control devices where necessary to control the flow of traffic, and also engaging with our team to be able to manage and control our traffic, the signals with our traffic signal. I mean, the timing. I'm sorry, of our traffic signals. And so we are definitely looking at that. As you know, some of these things you have to make sure that you gather the necessary data to be able to make those informed decisions so that we're not acting off of emotions, but that we be more strategic and thoughtful and guided in what we ultimately determine as the best mechanism to control the flow of traffic.
I think that's a great point. I think that it's also important to highlight that, when you talk about public safety, it isn't just about police and fire, but transportation also. And so I think, when we look at our crime rate, we've seen some reductions data wise. But, sometimes people look at the things that are on the news and think that they're not necessarily safe. And so I think a part of that is also tying in our branding and ensuring that our messaging is clear, that while we are not anywhere close to where we want to be on either public safety or transportation, we are making progress. And I think, that benefits our citizens. I think another thing that we're really excited about is when you talk about T-Splost. We just had our first traffic control device implemented in District 2. I think our District 2 Councilmember Gums, hosted a ribbon cutting for that installation along with the mayor and supported by other council members. And we're excited to complete the rollout of not only our paving activities and our resurfacing and bridges, but also further installation in the new traffic control devices that make our city and our roads a lot safer and more willing to navigate. I've been very excited and sometimes frustrated with all of the different work and projects going on throughout the city. It's hard to find a road that isn't receiving some type of attention throughout the city. So that's exciting.
Yep.
And so moving on to our third question, let's see here. Do we have plans to bring the sanitation program in house? Man, I tell you, that's a loaded question there. I think we have received a lot of feedback on sanitation. And at first, I'll be honest, while we recommended, this model to our council in lieu of the single provider based on some of the previous procurement activities. And just for the knowledge of the public, I think we did not really officially have a full purchasing department when we were tasked with delivering the sanitation model. And so, as such, I think we identified some challenges and wanted to make sure we got it right so that we could keep our lost funding, which is required by law of the services provided. Sanitation is one of them. And so, to ensure that we could actually continue access to those funds and not be in danger of having to raise taxes or not deliver services, we've identified this model. And while we had some challenges at the beginning, man, we are really excited that before any types of penalties or requirements were put in place, we're at about 65% compliance. And some of our council members, including our mayor pro tem, Mr. Baker, have gone into their communities and set up these sign up events to assist us. And we believe we're going to be even closer and maybe exceed 75% when the next month's data comes out and is verified. So while I believe the council, who is committed to continuous quality improvement, is still exploring other models, we're really excited about the success of this model. And of course, as many cities do, and South Fulton is no different, we will continue to monitor and evaluate what the best long-term model is for the city. So that's a great question, and we're thankful for it. I think we'll make this our final question, but man, it's a good one as well. What are the plans to build and bring more businesses to our city? And can you share some of the projects that economic development has underway? So I think we should split this one, Ms. Winfield. This is a big question. I'll tell you, the city of South Fulton, man, we've got some really dynamic elected leaders. And while their districts are different and they are very different, the one thing that everyone is on the same page on is economic development. And so I won't talk about the development authority and things like that. But what I will say is that Destination South Fulton is focused on not only retaining the excellent businesses that we have, but also bringing new businesses to the city. And I know it was the first time that I actually saw that statistic that we started off or ended FY18 with about 1,300 businesses, and now we have registered business licenses in the city about 2,300 plus. that is a big deal. And so that kind of highlights our commitment to make sure that we grow businesses and give people great opportunities. The Small Business Resource and Incubation Center is a very big deal for us. We plan to be cutting the ribbon maybe here in the next 60 or 90 days, ensuring that those are great opportunities. But also, we have partnered with folks like the Aerotropolis, Georgia Power, Coca-Cola, and others to ensure that our residents, have access to a variety of different business offerings, but also, that we leverage those Fortune 500 companies that are in our boundaries to make sure we attract more and get additional fine dining. If you haven't been to Gaucher's, if you haven't been to Baltimore Crab and Seafood or Bella, I mean, even on Old National, man, I got to stay out of there. But, Harold's Chicken and Ice House, I mean, there are some amazing restaurants and new businesses popping up all around the city. So I think we definitely have plans to expand that to support our 3 hotels coming online. We could go on and on, but
On and on.
we're definitely focused on economic development.
So if I may also add, Mr. Donald, I know you talked about a lot of exciting initiatives and can't speak about them all during this session, but we're also excited about the economic development planning that's going to take place again to
Absolutely.
provide the roadmap for how we go about what we do, so that we're not just doing things happenstance, but that we're being strategic and thoughtful in what we do and how we go about developing the land throughout the city of South Fulton. Our council member has also been hosting a number of economic development tours where they're hosting realtors and developers and other stakeholders to talk about the land that's available throughout the city of South Fulton and invite them in to be a partner in this economic development effort. So I can tell you that the team is really doing some great things, and we're excited about the work that's coming as a result of that.
Yeah, I will tell you, I am excited about, the future of the city of South Fulton, our current service delivery, but really where we're going with that, and probably even more excited to work with these 8 elected individuals who are all committed to the growth of the city, and many played a great role in getting the city here in the first place. I guess I'll close with the comments that, when you talk about economic development, it takes, many different partners, both internal and external. And while I've been able to work, in a variety of different places across the nation, I have never seen the engagement and leadership from a council in the manner that we have here. I mean, hosting economic development tours in partnership with Destination South Fulton, I think we're preparing for one of our first big economic development announcements of a new project that'll be coming online, which, in the first 2 years of a city, that's a big deal. And so thankful for the leadership and guidance from our council, as well as, their vision to know that in putting this development authority together and some of these other things that they've introduced, as well as the TADs to make sure that we are investing in the city, what might be even more important and impressive is that they have decided that we need an economic development plan that ties all of our activities together to give us the vision and the direction for how we invest in the future. And so kudos to them, as well as the dynamic staff members on our operations team that are really taking this work to the next level. And probably even more important, kudos to our citizens in continuing to make great decisions, voice their concerns, their needs, and desires, and holding us accountable on delivering those. And so we are thankful for the leadership of South Fulton in general, specifically, and especially the citizens. And so with that, we are thankful to have you tune in today for South Fulton 101. And hopefully, as we continue this process, please provide us with information on more things that you would like to know about the city. We are going to take a brief hiatus for the next South Fulton 101 to receive feedback from the citizens on what topics and subjects you want to hear. So while this is our April installment, we will briefly take a break for May. And during the entire month of April and the beginning of May, we will release a survey so that we can hear from you on what topics you want. And then based on that, we will return in June with the next South Fulton 101. And I see someone typing in, they want to see about planning and zoning and another on public safety. So we'll make sure to add those to the list. But man, thank you for tuning in today and participating in South Fulton 101. And we are excited to close out today and move forward with another episode. So thank you very much.
Thank you.